Welcome back guys, DW back with another video. I want to talk about Battlefield 6. This game is in massive trouble, and I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people with this video, but then again I don't really give a shit to be honest. Nothing about this game is organic, all hype is manufactured, and that's largely driven by these YouTuber shills who basically change their opinion once the game's released. We saw a similar thing with BF5 and 2042. And we all know how those games turned out. Basically a Battlefield veteran at this point. I've been playing since Battlefield 2 Modern Combat on the original Xbox, and I've pretty much enjoyed almost every game since then. I've put thousands of hours into Bad Company 2, Vietnam DLC, Battlefield 3, BF4, BF Hardline, BF1 and BF5. Even took part in the CTE for BF4, and I've hit max rank in pretty much all of those games on console, then moved to PC, so I think it's pretty safe to say I know what kind of game Battlefield is. BF3 and BF4 were pretty much the peak of the Battlefield experience. It doesn't get much better than those two games right there, and I don't think they've been able to top it since. I know a lot of people in the community might want BF6 to be this next big sequel, but it's starting to look more like a re-release of 2042 if I'm brutally honest with you. Now, after playing the BF6 beta, this is not the game you think it is. It might look like a fantastic game, but beyond that surface level, it has a ton of issues, and these are massive design flaws. So it's really not a beta, guys. Game's practically finished at this point. The real playtesters have already built this game behind closed doors, and what you see is what you get. There wouldn't be advertising pre-orders in a beta. There should be links to provide feedback or race support tickets, but there's none of that. It's just please pre-order the game. So it's not a beta, and that's a massive red flag. It's just brazen arrogance if you ask me, especially after everything I've seen wrong with this game itself. The UI is basically recycled from 2042. It's got the same horizontal, vertical tab layout, the same digital screen in the background. Customization basically works the same way. The character models at first glance look really impressive. They've gone back to that grounded military look, and this helps the game feel somewhat realistic and offer this authentic experience. This is something that was ruined in BF5 and 2042. Camouflage and tactical gear was replaced with out-of-touch, unrealistic, goofy player skins, which simply don't belong in this game. From a visual standpoint, Battlefield 6 looks amazing, but then again, every Battlefield game does, and that's what makes their Frostbite engine so deceptive. It's come a long way since the Bad Company days. It's basically their staple engine, and I'm always interested to see how they improve the fidelity and the environments with this engine. BF4 really took it to the next level in terms of fidelity, destruction, water physics, dynamic weather events, and Levolution, which would basically transform the entire map with some kind of massive destruction event. Yeah, that seems to be missing this time round in BF6. There's no real large-scale mega event in this game, at least as of right now. Reason being is because the developers think it becomes unspectacular. Instead, the designers put emphasis on enhanced tactical destruction, which is basically micro-destruction. Shit we've had since Battlefield 3 and Bad Company. Although it's on a deeper level, you've got massive amounts of debris flying all over the place, volumetric smoke, particle effects, and so on. And that's all great, but it's nothing truly amazing. Again, you can't level an entire building. You can only blow up walls and do all of the usual stuff, and it will leave debris. And again, that's all cool, but Levolution kind of filled a massive void. It wasn't just destroying massive set pieces. You could sink a whole town by blowing up a dam, or watch a tornado completely decimate the map. And these are defining moments which made each and every map feel different and gave its own unique identity. Even dynamic weather events, which were just a really fun element, would just bring so much more life into the game. This stuff gives players and your maps replay value, so I'd argue it really needs to stay in the game. These elements pretty much guarantee that you are playing on some kind of large-scale map, at least a medium-sized one. When you're playing on smaller maps, you're basically limiting how creative you can be with these maps in terms of destruction and Levolution. So this takes me on to the next point, and that's the maps in this game, which are absolutely terrible. I know this is just a beta, and they're very selective of what they've shown. And you could argue that they're probably not giving us larger maps, because larger maps would mean increasing the download size of this beta, which is a fair point. But then again, Battlefield 3 showcased its Caspian border map during its closed alpha test in July 2011, over a decade ago, so I'm really not sure what the issue is here. I think it's more likely that they're interested in appealing to this Call of Duty audience with these smaller maps. And that goes hand in hand with the game's mechanics, which also feel directly stolen from Call of Duty. If we take a look at this map, Siege of Cairo, it's extremely close quarters, narrow streets, urban combat, which is fine for smaller focused game modes, but not as a standalone Battlefield map. If this was a true Battlefield map, you'd start from outside the urban city center, preferably 5 miles southwest of central Cairo, around the Giza Plateau, where you'd fight through small military outposts and push the defensive forces back into the city. That would make an epic breakthrough rush map. And you've shown the Giza Plateau in one of your trailers, so I'm hoping you've just given us a smaller portion of a much larger play space. But you know, given how superficial the surrounding spaces look, I'd say this is the final product, which is a massive disappointment. This is Battlefield. Maps are supposed to be huge. The clue is in the name Battlefield. Wide open spaces, huge vistas, huge sandbox, open environments. Iberian Offensive is yet again another tight infantry-focused map with a 3-lane circular design. Everything's all over the place, you're constantly getting shot in the back. It's a really frustrating experience. Again, if this was a real Battlefield map, this would be some kind of naval assault from the sea, where you'd push the defensive forces from the coastal areas back into the city, where you've got boats, helicopters, jets. That's Battlefield. Instead, we've got this low IQ COD shit where you're just running around in circles. It's a really frustrating experience. The other map, Liberation Peak or some shit, this map is god-awful. It suffers from the same problems, but it's even worse this time because there's nothing uniquely interesting about the map itself. It's generic through and through. It's way too small for a map of this scale with this mountainous scenery. It's like you've quarantined the player away from the environment with these kill boundaries. We've got a 2-lane structure and it feels like you've just given us a third of what the map should actually be. If we compare this map to other Battlefield maps from previous games, you can see the emphasis on large-scale play spaces and the integration of these huge military compounds, which made it fun and interesting to traverse. I'm thinking of Damavand Peak, Port Valdez, or Hammerhead. Linear maps which work well in rush-type game modes and offer these huge military-focused set pieces. Liberation Peak offers no huge set pieces. It's just an uphill battle for small military compounds. Initially, I thought a reason for why the maps in this game could be so bland and uninspiring is because the antagonistic force in this game are just a bunch of PMCs. In theory, they shouldn't have massive financial backing to build these huge megastructures we see in BF3 or BF4, and that's basically a telltale sign of what's to come in the other maps in the game. Unless of course they try and pull a 2042 again. That game was more of an architectural thesis than a proper Battlefield game. And yeah, it looks like you're pulling off a 2042 again, so we're definitely getting maps similar in style to that game in the future. And that's not a bad sign, but you know, the alternative would be these shitty bland maps we have right now that are inspired by Call of Duty. Pax Armata is a fictional antagonistic force described as a well-funded PMC with global reach, not explicitly tied to Russia or China, but potentially influenced by various nations. Yeah, this is just unbelievable bullshit. You may as well be taking General Bison's private military corps and make a game entirely based off them, to be honest. But it is what it is at this point. This fictional generic PMC shit was brought to us in 2042 and you came up with all this ridiculous architecture to kind of support the faction. It was just fake. Now for week 2, they're including the Manhattan map, which is again another infantry focused map. From what I've seen already, combat doesn't even take place on the bridge. Again, all the fun of the environment is quarantined away from the player. This should again be a massive scale assault from one end of the bridge to the other, but you're just fighting in this generic urban space. Lots of cover scattered everywhere in every open area. And this is exactly the other point about these maps which I hate as a Battlefield player. Siege of Cairo also has massive craters and destroyed objects all in the way by default. This is an artistic design choice the designers make to place cover everywhere to help the infantry. This is not Call of Duty. In Battlefield, we leave it up to the player to use destruction as a tool to help them navigate the map. Let the player create craters which can transform the map. Let the player blow holes through building or collapse buildings to push through areas. Let the player create cover through the environment and vehicles. Why the fuck is everything destroyed, with craters and cover everywhere, with a severe lack of open space? Because again, this game is made by COD players for COD players. Look at these people and tell me they're Battlefield veterans.
We have to find gameplay that really resonates with the players and then build on that.
We've done similar things in the past, but this is a whole nother level. We're doing it before we launch the game.
It's an exciting way for us to interact with our audience before things go live.
New closed testing environment. We call it Battlefield Labs. Let's build Battlefield together.
So these are massive design flaws. You can't patch this shit in and fix it like a bug. These maps need serious rework. And you need to increase the scale of these maps. The infantry focus thing is just not appealing to long-time Battlefield fans. But anyway, video's long enough at this point, so I'm going to cover all of the other half in another video. I'm covering topics like gameplay and mechanics. Keep it short and sweet for you guys. Otherwise, people fall asleep. So that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.